about 5 years, I lived with pain in my body from my ankle all the way up to my neck. And in 2016, I had to have surgery done on my left foot from a collapsed arch. The surgery was called an osteotomy, which calls for my orthopedic surgeon to break 4 major bones and to rebuild those bones as well as an arch and fuse my left foot together, which prohibits my ankle from moving left to right. For 12 months, I had to go through rehabilitation for every muscle in my body from my ankle up to my neck. And during that time, I had to depend on people to help take care of me with essential things, from laundry to helping cook my food, even down to having help getting into the shower from time to time. For the first 7 weeks of surgery, I was unable to walk. And so most of my rehabilitation focused on learning to walk again. And I remember within those 7 weeks, just sitting in a wheelchair, spending most of my time getting around with my arms. And on the 8th week, my physical therapist showed up at my apartment, and she looked at me when she walked through the door and said, "Today we are going to walk." And I thought, no, I'm not ready. I remember being afraid. I could only imagine what she saw with the look on my face. And I knew that I was just afraid that I wouldn't be able to walk. I was afraid that I would break the foot again. And I was really afraid to take one step. But on that day, I actually ended up taking 25 steps. In 2017, I came to Dallas Theological Seminary, and I remember meeting a doctor that March who looked at me and said, "For the next 365 days, you need to walk every day for 30 minutes. Don't run, don't jump, just walk." And for the next year, that is just what I did. I walked for 30 minutes, and it took me a year to learn how to walk properly from heel to toe. When I first started walking, I began at Exile Park because it was right across the street from my apartment complex and it was easy to get to. It was really painful when I began taking those steps because the muscles in my ankle were still weak. And so it took me a while, probably about the next 3 months, just to develop those muscles that I had lost from having the major surgery. I had to have some help walking. It's kind of like a baby. You can't do this on your own from the beginning. So in order to help with that proper foot traction, I would put bands around my ankle, resistance bands, and that helped me to learn to place my heel down first and roll up to my toe. After about 5 months of walking around Exile and finally starting to feel like I had some strength in my ankle, I decided to head down to White Rock Lake and walk the lake. I was able to walk longer periods of time at that point. I think probably about 40 minutes by then. I would walk 20 minutes one direction and then walk the other 20 minutes back to my car. The discipline of walking permeated other areas of my life. I went from 30 minutes to an hour long, from walking solo to walking alongside other women. I even learned during that time to walk through the Word. So that discipline permeated my spiritual life. And I would spend time walking through the Word in the morning, studying Scripture. After I was done studying Scripture, I would get up and go out and take my walk for the day. From time to time, women started coming to ask to walk with me as they saw me taking my walks. And I thought, how befitting, the Lord called me to ministry with women, and who would have thought that that ministry would have taken flight from a plight that had happened with me having to have the foundation of my body broken. So it went from maybe 1 to 2 women a week to 4 or 5 to 6 or 8 women a month. And those walks were long. During those walks, we had the chance to just talk about life. We would get the chance to pray together. A lot of confession happened during that time, and I began to learn about their cultures, their dreams, their visions, their ministry passions, from just being able to enjoy the daily sun shining down on us during those walks. I really, really enjoy walking so much now, because when I started, it was really painful. But now I walk about 16 miles a week, and about 4 of those miles are spent walking alone, just listening to music, worship music, or taking the time to walk silently and just meditate on the scripture that I had walked through that morning, or taking the time to walk with a woman and learn what it means to walk properly with women through the word, through life, as well as what it means to just continue to strengthen my body on this walk.